Hello YouTube and welcome to Prime Productions. I'm here to help enhance your tabletop gaming experience. If you're new to this channel, I primarily cover Paizo tabletop role-playing games like Pathfinder and Starfinder. And welcome back to Quick Takes, where I talk about one section of Pathfinder for a few minutes. And today I wanted to talk about how to deal with spells in skill challenges. Quick refresher on how skill challenges work in Pathfinder 2e. All of this information can be found in the GM Core page 184 under Victory Points, but I'll summarize it here. So, sometimes a GM wants to have a challenge that isn't combat, and sometimes that challenge is a single skill check. But those can be boring, as one bad dice roll can tank an entire mission and only one player gets to participate. So, Paizo has an option called a skill challenge that lets all players participate and doesn't leave the thing up to one bad dice roll. Essentially, in a skill challenge, every player takes turns rolling one of a few different skill checks. Every player has to roll a check before any player can roll their next check, otherwise the GM can quickly lose track of turns. Now, a player can skip their turn, but they are essentially giving up the option to help out for that pass. A critical success on a check usually nets the party 2 points towards a victory, a success grants 1 point, a failure no points, and a critical failure loses the party a point. The group must accrue a certain number of points in a certain number of passes or the party fails. Now there are certainly a number of variations on this, but this cursory knowledge should be sufficient for today. As an example, let's say the party is sailing a ship, and they see a storm on the horizon. They need to sail into the safety of a port before the storm catches up to them. Each pass of a skill check represents 1 hour of work, and the storm will hit them in 4 hours. The GM determines what skills the players can roll to help sail the ship. Let's say sailing lore, labor lore, nature, survival, and maybe society for logistics. The GM also sets the DC for each skill and determines that the party will need, let's say, 8 successes to get safely to port before the storm hits. The problem is that sometimes spells can nullify skill challenges. For example, the spell Teleport could just whisk you to safety. Now sometimes this is fine. A player uses up a spell slot, skips the skill challenge, and everything moves on. Sometimes though, a GM has designed a skill challenge to be a major section of a game session. Additionally, other players can get annoyed if they don't get to do anything because Ezra and the Wizard always solves the problem. And before you say anything, no, even the best GMs can't be expected to memorize every single character ability on every single character sheet and design a perfect skill challenge that doesn't have an easy spell answer. There are, however, a few options to solve this problem. By the way, I should mention I did not come up with any of these solutions. I've seen them published a lot in official Paizo adventures, but a lot of people still seem to not know them, so I'm just informing you about the solutions here. Anyway, the first thing to do is double check the spell to see if it actually solves the problem. In the case of our incoming storm example, the spell Teleport will teleport the party to safety, but not the ship, the tons of cargo they need to deliver, or the other sailors that they are leaving to fend for themselves. Not to fear though, there is a happy middle ground between saying the spell doesn't work and invalidating the whole skill challenge, and it works like this. First, if the player wants to use a spell to help a skill challenge, make sure the spell would actually help the skill challenge. Casting Lightning Bolt probably won't help the ship get to port faster. If the spell is helpful and it is a cantrip, allow the player to roll their primary spellcasting skill instead of one of the listed skills. In our storm example, if a cleric casts the cantrip Know the Way to help navigation, allow them to roll religion instead of one of the listed skills, as they use their mastery of their god's magic to help them navigate the ship. You can use this tactic for focus spells too if you want. Now this isn't a perfect system. A bard may not have a good occultism skill but want to use a cantrip to help. So, the last option is to allow cantrips to automatically succeed at aid checks, granting another player a +1 to 2 point bonus to their skill check, though this uses up the spellcaster's pass as they cast spells to aid their friend instead of rolling themselves. If a player instead decides to help with a spell from a spell slot, this is how I would usually do it. If the spell is 4 or more ranks lower than their highest rank spell slot that they can cast, I just treat it as a cantrip. Let's face it, a single rank 1 spell slot isn't much of a sacrifice for a level 11 spellcaster. If they cast their highest rank spell slot, I consider it a critical success without rolling, and if it's somewhere in between, I usually consider it a normal success without rolling. And that's how you can deal with spells in skill challenges. Personally, I love this. It allows players to use spells to contribute to, but not instantly negate, skill challenges in Pathfinder 2e. How do you do it? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, make sure you like and subscribe. That tells not only me, but also YouTube that you like this kind of content and would like to see more. And until next time, thank you, good luck, and happy gaming!